The man of sin was the corrupt religious leaders of Israel. And our texts there are 2 Thessalonians 2, verses 3 and 4, Matthew 23, verses 1 to 15, and 25 to 36. So let's get back to our Bible. And we read there, verse 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that day, the day of the Lord, shall not come except there come the falling away first. In the Greek, there is a definite article there. The falling away, the apostasy must come first before the day of the Lord. And that man of sin be revealed. The man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who at Paul's time was opposing and exalting himself above all that is called God and that is worship, so that he as God in Paul's time was sitting in the naos, the temple, the inner sanctuary of the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. And so point number 6 says that the man of sin was the corrupt religious leaders of Israel. Paul labeled this system, which was currently in authority in Jerusalem temple, as the man of sin and the son of perdition. Now in this point, I'm focusing on the man of sin. And next video, I will focus on the son of perdition. But we will look at the man of sin for this point. Now, Jesus was the first in the Bible, in the New Testament, to identify the man of sin. We recall him speaking concerning the religious leaders of Israel of his time. And so we go to Matthew 23 and look at what Christ said about the religious leaders. We read from verse 1 to 15. He said, then spoke Jesus to the multitude and to his disciples, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat, so they had the authority of Moses. All therefore whatever they bid you to observe, that observe and do. But do not you after their works, for they say, and do not, they were hypocrites. For they bind heavy burdens and grievous to be borne, and lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. But all their works they do for to be seen of men. They make broad their phylacteries, and enlarge the borders of their garments, and love the uppermost rooms at feasts, and the chief seats in the synagogues, and greetings in the markets, and to be called of men, Rabbi, Rabbi. So they loved the fame. They loved the authority and the worship that they received because of this exalted position. The religious leaders of Israel were, as it were, kings of the earth. And that's what they are labeled in the book of Revelation, the kings of the earth. All right? But be not you called Rabbi, for one is your master, even Christ, and all you are brothers. And call no man on earth, and call no man your father on the earth, for one is your Father which is in the heaven. Neither be you called masters, for one is your master, even Christ. For he that is greatest among you shall be your servant. And whoever shall exalt himself, hello, you remember what Paul said about the man of sin? He exalts himself above all that is called God. Whoever shall exalt himself shall be abased, and he that shall humble himself shall be exalted. But woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you shut up the kingdom of heaven against men. For you neither go in yourself, neither suffer you them that are entering to go in. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you devour widows' houses, and for a pretense make long prayer. Therefore you shall receive the greater damnation. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you compass the sea and land to make one proselyte, and when he is made, you make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves. All right? So notice, Jesus did not have a favorable view of the leaders, the religious leaders of Israel. He didn't. Right? He called them hypocrites. He said they were arrogant. They loved the popularity and the worship. They did not minister to the people. Instead, they wanted to be ministered to. Good? And they were candidates for damnation in his judgment. Let's move down to verse 25. He says, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrite, for you make clean the outside of the cup and the platter, but within they are full of what? Extortion. These leaders were extorting the people. They were robbers. They were plunderers. Okay? They're full of extortion and excess. He says, you blind Pharisee, cleanse first that which is within the cup and the platter, that the outside of them may be clean. So Jesus was talking about their spiritual condition. Yes, if you saw these men, just like today, they put on all of these fancy clothes and, gowns, and it have all of these ornate designs and expensive robes. And when you look at these men, man, you say, wow, they look so grand and they look so important and they look so regal and royal. Right? But inside, Jesus said, they are full of extortion. He says, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you are like the whitewashed sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outwardly, but are within full of dead men bones and of all uncleanness. This is why Paul said, look, these people were going to be revealed. They're going to be exposed. The chief priest did not actually do anything. They just issued. They spoke the command and then it was carried out. So, in our time, we call that plausible deniability. Nobody could really trace it back to them. All the Antichrist doctrines and so on, the infiltration that they organized and orchestrated of the remnant, is only through the spiritual understanding and guidance of the apostles that they traced it back into the temple. But the common folk were like, where are these teachings coming from? How is it that we have these people rising up? But the apostles, through the revelation of the Holy Spirit, revealed that this thing come right out from the temple. This is where it originated from. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build tombs of the prophets and garnish the sepulchres of the righteous, and say, if we had been in the days of our fathers, we would not have been partakers with them in the blood of the prophets. So these very people who were orchestrating the deaths of the apostles and the members of the early church, they would go to the gravesite and the sepulchres of the ancient prophets and they would have their ceremony, like in today we go to the monuments of the soldiers who died in the war and so on and so forth, and you lay their wreaths and you have a big ceremony and so on. Okay, so they had the big ceremony and they honored the prophets. But Jesus said, listen, those same prophets, if they were alive in your day, you would kill them. So don't think you're fooling me when you honoring the prophets who are dead, because you are the same people who are going to kill my prophets. Look what he says. You be witnesses of yourselves that you are the children of them which killed the prophets. Fill you up then the measure of your fathers, you serpents, you generations of vipers. How can you escape the damnation of hell? For behold, I send to you prophets and wise men and scribes, and some of them you shall kill. Some of them you shall crucify. Some of them you shall whip in your synagogues, and some of them you shall persecute from city to city. So when you going and have your big ceremony at the tombs of the prophets of old, and you lay your wreaths and you honor them, you are hypocrites, because you are the same people who are going to kill the apostles. You are the same people who are going to persecute the righteous. And Jesus says, because of that, that on you may come all the righteous blood shed on the earth. From the blood of the righteous Abel to the blood of Zacharias, son of Barachias, whom you slew between the temple and the altar. Truly I say to you, all these things shall come on this generation, the generation to whom Christ was speaking to. All right? So, the man of sin was Israel's corrupt religious leaders. They had abused their authority. They had profited from the people by extortion. And the way of Christ was threatening that golden goose that they had. They would do everything in their power to exterminate the apostles. Well, they succeeded in killing Christ. And then they would go on to try to exterminate the apostles, to wipe out the followers of Christ and the doctrine of Christ. They were the origin of the Antichrist.